it doesn't work correctly, you just restore that backup and you're back in business, and try in another 30 days to see if they've patched it all up. It's called an insurance policy. That's what a backup is.
Yeah.
Auto insurance, house insurance, health insurance, life insurance. Backups are computer insurance.
Completely understandable.
Yeah, well, there's a hell of a lot of people that can't comprehend it, and they don't want to spend the time doing that or any other maintenance required by a computer. And I'm sorry, but you have to treat computers like a 2 or 3 year old.
Yeah. And I guess I have a question in similar case. I have a very old laptop that I'm in the process of getting rid of, and I've done a wipe of the C drive, so all I can really do is boot the system. However, there is the D drive that's got restore files, but I do believe that's only restores for the system, not for the data files. Is that correct?
No, if you're doing an image backup, anything physically on the drive is in the backup. That includes viruses, other forms of malware. You got ransomware, and you do manage to get a backup of it before it springs alive. You've got it on the backup. That's why you have to have multiple backups in order to save your butt.
Well, that I understood. I understand that completely. So you're doing a backup of the C drive, the Charlie drive.
Yes, but if the D drive in that system was had real data, because if you segregate like Al does on his machines, he has the operating system and his programs on C. He has all of his data on D. If you got the right kind of a program, you back up each drive one at a time. And that way, in that case there, you would have a C image and a D image, and no matter what happens, you can restore whatever image you need to at any given time.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
And how old is the old computer?
Well, it's probably about 18 years. It's a laptop.
Yeah, I got a 2001. I even have a couple that are older than that. I've got one that's a 486. It has a floppy drive, no optical drive, no Ethernet ports, no Wi-Fi capability, etc., etc. And if and when I have time, I play with them primarily with Linux to see if I can make them functional.
Yeah, well, this PC was given to me by somebody that was going to throw it away. Yeah. And so I figured I'd use it to use the CD drive. And when I finished cleaning up the Charlie drive, getting rid of all their data, things like 2019 forms for the IRS or 2099s for the IRS, I got rid of all that garbage by wiping it out. Delete it and then wipe the blank areas. Then I tried to use the CD drive, and the darn thing never opens.
Well, they have a tendency to go bad far worse than hard drives. And yeah. You probably would need in that a new drive. But optical drives are obsolete anyhow. I do have to use some recently for antique machines that cannot boot up off of a USB drive for Linux. You have to use a CD or a DVD. And that's the only way to get it on the system to see if it works. Not everything is going to work.
Yeah. Well, what I've done with my current desktop is I've copied all my DVDs, all the movies I've got, onto what would you call them? I'm thinking thumbnail drive.
External hard drive?
Well, I've got some on there, but what I've also done is put them on like the thumbnail drives. And,
that's one suggestion they say stay away from. You're better off to put them on an external drive.
Well, I've done both ways.
Okay.
That way I got double backups.
Okay.
And the reason they had to do that is because the internal DVD drive got fouled up because of something I was doing, not to the drive itself that I knew of, but I had a humidifier running that didn't have a filter. I had hard water going into the humidifier, and it was putting humidity in the system, but it was also putting a fine dust in the system, in the air.
Yeah, it's mineral.
Yeah.
Calcium is one of the majors.
And that's what did it. I finally figured out what was going out into the air, and I shut those humidifiers down. So it's got to be, blown clean. Hopefully it will work again. If not, then I can get an external or replace the DVD.
Right.
So I know the things I can do, but it was just frustrating.
Well, that may be, but everything has its time, and that includes all of us.
Yes.
Aldo?
Hi there. Here I am.
I got a question for you. Did you attend the Linux 8 APCUG presentation?
I did.
You did, Tim?
Yes.
When they come out with the links?
I've got them already, I think. Yeah, I got them yesterday.
Okay, I'll explain why I didn't get them later on.
That's fine.
If you could send them to me, I would appreciate it.
Well, how much you paying?
Not a lot.
Well, gee whiz. I won $366 trillion, and you all the taxes because I can't afford them.
I know. But you'll see why in a little while, why I didn't attend.
Okay, Jerry, I sent it to you to your Gmail account.
Okay, thank you. We might as well get started. I'd like to welcome you all to the Chicago Computer Society Westside Computer Club. And Sanford, before I get started, or Sanford gets started, I just want to make a little note about myself. I have had a terrible month, and I mean a terrible month. I had started just before the May CCS website. I've gone through 2 MRIs, a CAT scan, a whole slew of tests, and also an endoscope and a gallbladder surgery. And that gallbladder surgery was on the day of the Linux. And I'm recovering from that. That was 2 weeks ago. And when they did the test, the gallbladder had stage 4 cancer.
Mhm.
And they got all that out. It kind of, the surgeon took a little biopsy of the liver, and they're analyzing that right now. So I'm waiting for results on what goes on. So I'm working with a oncologist right now who's been treating me for multiple myeloma. And so I don't know what's going on. I'm in limbo. I'm tired. I don't sleep at night. I'm hardly on the computer. I wish I was on more, but hopefully I put together a little presentation for tonight. One thing before Sanford gets in, this is just a reminder. Do any of you have Google accounts, Google Photo accounts? June 1st is when they made it where you have to pay. I'm just saying that as a reminder. Okay. Sanford, have fun.
I'm here. Jerry, sorry to hear you're having such a rough time.
Yeah, and I don't know what's going to happen down the road yet.
Well, we all wish you the best.
Yeah. Well, beside that, I'm looking for some volunteers to help me out do presentations. You know, I've got a nice list here of about 16 people. I don't know, you know, if it's just a 10 or 15-minute presentation, I would like that immensely. You can pick the topic you want to talk about, let me know, and I'll work with you. Okay.
Welcome, everybody, to the June edition of the Westside Computer Club. We're going to have our open forum, and then afterwards we'll go into our presentation. Who'd like to open up the floor with the first question of the evening? I see. We got Stan. Good job, Stan.
Well, it's not a question that's so hard, but I need to buy another computer. And it's a matter of, give me some options. What should I buy?
Do you want a laptop or a desktop?
Yeah.
Well, I'd like a laptop, but I also need a desktop.
Why?
Well, because a laptop I can take with me to places, but typically I can't tie in as many things. This laptop...
What do you mean? Wait, hold on. What do you mean tie in?
I'm just going through it. The current laptop has a touch screen, which I've never used, and I just use it for my own, just so I can see what's going on. You all are on that one right now.
You're looking for something cheap then?
No, there are two, 5 terabyte drives that are on this as part of it, plus a solid state C drive.
That's a desktop you're talking about.
No, that's the laptop.
A laptop with 2 5-terabyte drives and an SSD?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, they're external.
External. Okay.
Yeah.
Not internal.
I bought a laptop just last year, which is a 500 gig SSD and a 1 terabyte hard drive internal, but it doesn't have the touch screen.
What about a docking station, Stan?
Well, I'm thinking of that, but I don't really, it's been a long time since I built a computer.
Yeah, but a docking station is designed for a laptop to give you connectivity to a local keyboard, mouse, monitor, external drive ports, USB usually.
Yeah.
And all you do is disconnect one wire from the laptop, take the laptop with you, and the docking station stays where you're at home. Then when you come back, you just plug in the one wire, and it acts like a desktop.
Okay.
There's the biggest issue you have to start figuring out is what am I doing with the computer first? Most people have migrated to all online stuff or almost all online stuff. They do very, very little traditional install programs anymore other than maintenance. And you have to decide what size of screen, what resolution of the screen. You have to figure out the minimum size of the C drive that you're going to have in it. Do you need the secondary drive internally? In which case, you may be stuck with a 17-inch laptop. Which
mine's a 15.
Well, with a 17-inch, they have two areas for drives built into them. And theoretically, that's an option for him. Only 15 and 16, 17-inch laptops anymore seem to have an optical drive. And normally, I haven't used optical drives until recently for trying to see what I can do with Linux on some real old antiques that won't boot from a USB drive. And out of several of my systems, I pull out the optical drive. I have an adapter that allows me to insert another SSD or hard drive, spinning hard drive, and stick it in place of the optical drive. You take the external faceplate off of the old drive, and if necessary, an internal adapter that's held on by one tiny screw. And you put it on the adapter, slide it in, put the lock screw in to hold it in place, and now you have a non-optical laptop that has two drives in it for whatever purposes you happen to need. But there's lots of stuff that you have to go through.
Tim,
Stan?
I think we need to hear from Stan what his purposes are for this computer.
Well,
I put a picture, Stan, of Wavelength, which is the docking station that I use. It's just a picture, so you'll have to Google it. But I put it in chat.
okay.
All right, Stan, what are you looking to do with this machine?
Just what I'm doing now with what I have. I have a lot of MP4s. I have a lot of MP3s, which I download and rip from the CD drive. I have an external CD drive that won't work with this laptop. It uses its own internal that I can rip, and then I use that to get an MP3 that I can walk around with as an audio player, you know.
So you said you're ripping MP4s from videos.
Yeah.
So that is the only process that I hear that you're saying that is somewhat computer intensive. Meaning, you know, what I'm trying to see is, would a desktop work better for you? Do you need a desktop because you need the horsepower behind it, or will a laptop have enough horsepower for you?
The laptop I have has enough horsepower.
Okay.
But I want to get a much larger screen than what I have. But when I try to plug in the other screen, I have I don't know what it is, about yay big, you know, large screen. But it doesn't like to be on at the same time as the screen that I have now on the laptop. It sort of either overheats or it causes other problems.
The laptop overheats or the screen overheats?
No, the laptop.
Okay. All right. I think you brought up this laptop overheating at last meeting,
Right.
and I'm assuming you tried all those three things.
I have, and it fixed it, most of it. But if I put on the big thing, it'll screw up. I have a lot of additions to the computer. Like I don't use the internal sound system. I have a lot of inputs that are through a block of what is it? I forget what it's called. I can't see.
Kind of like a breakout box?
Yeah, I guess that's what it's called. I'm not sure. But it's got a whole bunch of the USB kinds of things.
But is that particular breakout box, and I'll use that term to classify it, can that be physically attached to any computer?
Yes.
All right, so that's independent.
Right.
So we're back to, why do you need a desktop versus a laptop?
Well, I probably need both because I do want to take my computer with me. And the problem with the one I have now is it'll work where it is. But it's the kind that used to fold backwards upon itself and turn itself into a tablet. Well, that's cracked. So that it turns out that the air flow was disrupted, and that's why it was overheating.
Okay.
And something else about those hinge cracks. If you crack the hinge on some of those laptops, you will damage or partially break some of the connections with the monitor.
Yeah.
And that can lead to the kind of shorting and overheating you may be experiencing.
Well, that's why I want to buy one right away, but I'm not sure what to buy yet.
Okay,
I was looking at Nooks and that kind of thing, but it doesn't seem like they're all that good.
Do you have a budget? Do you have a budget?
Not really.
Ooh. So, ooh.
Bank check.
But I'm not into gaming and stuff like that.
Okay, but gaming laptops are higher performance units.
That's right.
So you may not necessarily want a gaming one, but you may be able to take advantage of what it has to offer. For instance, a lot of gaming laptops have lighted keyboards. They'll have faster memory. They'll have bigger hard drives, better SSD and a hard drive. They'll usually have both. I will say this as a caveat. You're looking at a bigger screen. When you go into the 17-inch laptops, the drawback of that is it's bigger. It weighs a lot more. It's a lot more cumbersome to deal with. If you're okay with that aspect of it, meaning the portability, then go with it. Go with a 17-inch. You can even go bigger. But keep that in mind about the portability and the overall weight and heftiness of it. And is that going to be durable in the long run by that size?
That's the part.
I used to have a 17-inch. I no longer utilize that one. It just was too big over time. I just found it very big and heavy, and I didn't like it as much over time. But it was big. It was nice. A touchscreen.
This one is.
A touchscreen is actually a good thing, because every now and then I have found that Windows
17.
Every now and then Windows does something and you can't get your mouse to touch on something, or there's an update that goes through and the mouse pointer disappears and you can't get it back until you reboot. So my suggestion is that's when you go and you touch the screen and you close your windows and tell it to reboot. It just helps to facilitate things. Of course, you could always use the 3 fingers and Control-Alt-Delete and use the keyboard to try to get through it. But a touchscreen really does help a lot. Once you start using it, you realize it does have a benefit to it. Anyone else want to chime in on this?
The 17-inch is a desktop replacement. That's why it's so big, bulky, and heavy.
All right.
And it's not designed for portability like a 15.6, 14-inch, 13.3, 12-inch, etc.
Right. Okay, Bob?
Stan, first of all, one question you should be asking is, do you want to do your video work on the laptop? Is there any situation where you need to?
Not really.
Keep in mind, a lot of the laptops now do not come with CDs.
No, that's okay. I don't care about that. I don't do anything with CDs except rip the audio file.
Okay. How about this? Why don't you take a little drive and go to Best Buy and Walmart and see what they have on display?
Yeah, well, I would have done that if it hadn't been for COVID.
You still can go.
Yeah.
Costco's got good machines if you're a member of Costco.
Yeah, I have a Costco.
And the nice thing about Costco is you have 90 days to return it, and they're not going to charge you a restocking fee. Best Buy might.
Yeah, that's where I bought mine.
Well, I've got 3 or 4 of the larger screens from Costco right now, and I'm testing each one of them to see what's good, because my eyesight is going, and it's hard for me to read some of the text.
Well, you can always blow up your font size.
Yeah. Yeah, but then I can't. That's a pain.
Well, there's procedures you can do to increase the size of what's on your desktop. It's not just the font size. There's other display settings that you can use. And you're going to run into this, Stan. You're going to run into this no matter what computer you get. Initially, it's going to be set up for a kid that's 20 years old that's got really great vision. So you're going to have to monkey with it to get it to fit to what your eyes can adjust to. Someone else want to chime in on this? Bob?
If people can stop talking over me.
Sorry.
Now, the questions that I was going to ask are, first of all, Stan, do you want to do the video editing on the laptop? Do you need the portability for that?
No, because I don't do video editing.
Okay. The ripping. Do you need to do that in a mobile situation?
The ripping is only an MP3.
Yes.
When I get something, I just copy a file that other people have made for me as an MP4.
In other words, you're more interested in being able to play them back than to be able to create them.
Right.
Okay. That means you don't need as powerful a laptop as if you were doing transcoding or editing. Yeah. You can get away with a modern laptop, run-of-the-mill, even mid-grade would be just fine for what you have just told me. If you want an optical drive, here's what happens. Today, the laptop itself comes with just USB-C ports, usually 2 of them, and maybe a display port. That's basically what you have. The reason for this is that they assume you're going to have a dock. And the dock provides you with all these other ports you need for everything. The CD, the extra monitor will be DisplayPort or dock. And the laptop's just doing basic stuff. And as Tim correctly said, most people are just using it to connect to the internet to do other things online. So the other thing is, touchscreen or no touchscreen, you're going to have a touchpad. So you're not going to be, you might be using a mouse through a dock again. The only way...
I usually don't use the touchpad function at all of the unit that I have now. I use a separate keyboard with a separate mouse, both wired in.
Okay, so you're basically in a situation where you would have a hub or a dock in order to provide those extra ports.
Yeah.
So you're always going to be using a hub or a dock with it. And again, this means you can use a more standard laptop than what we've been talking about. I just don't want you to be spending a lot of money on the laptop if you might also want a desktop that can handle things like when you want to do something with video or MP3.
Well, what I do is take the laptop to wherever I'm going.
Yeah.
And then I use it there and then bring it back, you know. The standard, you know, permanent installation, that would be okay. That wouldn't be a problem. I would use that most of the time because I do most of my stuff from right here.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking is when you want to put your power and your money into a desktop, and it could be a relatively small form factor, you know, much smaller than the towers of yesterday, because they are getting more powerful. As long as it has enough cooling fans, you're good. And that can be where you really put your power and where you put your big monitor and everything. And a big monitor on a modern laptop should be okay as long as the monitor is powering itself.
That's what I use.
Yeah.
I got a 27-inch monitor on my laptop.
Yeah. I have an external monitor, which is a 10-inch that I bring with me for spotting if I want to have like a document here on my spotting monitor and I still want to be able to do a presentation and I want to see what I'm showing the audience. But that's just fancy stuff that most people, yourself included, will very rarely want to do. So you're just going with a standard laptop. And it'll have a couple of ports, and you'll probably want to put a little money into a dock. Not a little mini dock, but a full-size dock. And those full-size docks can run more than 100. But it's worth every penny of it. I have a Chromebook for which I do that.
My dock was about $80.
Yeah, that's a reasonable price range.
And that's a good one.
Yeah.
Hey, Stan, you were complaining about your eyesight.
Yeah.
Do you have your clear type text turned on the computer?
I don't know.
Go to your search bar, your magnifying glass, and just type clear type.
Oh, no, I have that off. I don't want.
Why?
I don't like it the way it works.
Okay.
Yeah, it takes some setup. It takes some setup. You have to select what looks least blurry.
Yeah, well.
And by the way,
eyesight trouble.
Well, I'm due for an operation in probably about another month and a half.
Oh,
I got cataracts.
If your vision is going to change, you might want to put off this side. Somebody's got noise in the background. If you want to do, Tom, I think you're noisy in the background. Maybe feedback. But anyway, Stan, we were talking about eyesight, and you're going to have a procedure done.
Yeah.
When you get that procedure done, I think you should wait till after that and see how your eyes are working then, because you may not need the computer to do all the work for you once you get fixed up.
Well, they claim I'll have 20/20 in one eye, and I'm not sure what in the other. But
Yeah.
it's better than what I got now.
When you got cataract surgery?
In one, yes. In the other, it's more complicated.
Yeah, you're going to get to a point where you're mostly using the one eye.
Yeah. Well, that's what I do now because I'm blind in one eye.
Yeah. So this won't be terribly much of a change in that eye that doesn't see.
Don't know yet. We'll find out.
Oh,
Computer glasses might work too after you had the procedure done.
Oh, I don't know about that. We'll see. They don't work now.
yeah. I'm thinking once you have your procedure done, you'll know more about what your visual needs are.
Right.
And that will guide your selection of how big a screen you need and how much you need to blow things up.
Yeah.
And how much clear type will help.
Yeah, good example. We'll see.
Yeah. Even still, you're not going to have a lot of ports on today's laptops. That's almost a given. So the dock is going to be part of it. You also don't need to go with a lot of power in what's going to be portable if you are going to be also having a desktop that does have the power to do the things you really need it for.
That was a thought also, that I would just buy two. One that would be here as kind of a tower, small tower or whatever.
Yeah, a mini
and then
tower.
Another one that I can take with me on airplanes and stuff like that.
Yeah, on airplanes, you're definitely not going to want a 17-inch screen. You're going to want something smaller, just because I think they still have limitations on planes of how big your electronics can be.
I've carried this one on airplanes before, and it was okay.
Well, as long as
my stowed luggage,
Oh, as long as they say okay, that's fine. Yeah. But in any event, on a plane, it's more comfortable using something a wee bit smaller, if you can get away with it.
Well, I have a tablet that I take too.
Oh.
And that seems to work okay.
Yeah, that's great for planes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah.
Stan?
Go ahead.
If you're on a browser, you're aware that you can hit Control minus or Control plus to increase the size of the text?
In your browser.
In your browser?
Yeah.
Right? In other words, you're on a web page and you want to blow it up, you could just hit the Control plus and make it bigger.
Yep.
If it's too big, Control minus makes it smaller.
You can use the mouse.
I haven't tried that, actually.
That works great.
It works great.
You can use the mouse to do the same thing. Just rotate the ball.
You can.
Right. So, for what it's worth, if I were in your position, I would get a reasonable desktop computer that has enough power to do the most demanding tasks that I ever do. And for just portability, I would go mid-range, middle of the road. I wouldn't go ultra cheap because, frankly, when you go really cheap with laptops, new ones anyway, you just don't get much bang for your buck.
Well, this one has been very good, and it was about $1,000.
Whoa.
You don't have to spend that much on a laptop these days.
500 will do it.
500 will do just fine. Get a Core i5. You'll be just fine.
That's what I'm using.
The video will be an important thing for you. A lot of the cheaper ones have a low-end video card, so you might want to look at what type of video card is in there.
But using the video card, they may not even have a video card. They're going to use the video encoding that's on the processor.
Yeah, but I mean, depending upon the laptop you get, they have the nicer video. Like the laptop I have, it has a good video in it. It's not the card, but the software or the.
Anyone else want to add to this subject?
Well, one thing I'd like to add to it, of course, I have the older laptop, but be careful about what you get because mine has USB 1, 2, and 3 ports. So get the USB 3 ports on the newer ones because you can always use a downgrade plug-in. And I have a dock also, and the reason I bought that, the primary reason, was because this particular laptop likes to get very hot, and that dock has a fan built into it. So it can cool it down nicely, but it also has USB ports, so I can take a USB 3 and plug it into that docking station and have a handful, I guess there's 6 USB 2 ports on the back of that can be used. So there you go.
That's what happens.
Solutions.
That's what happens with these USB-C ports. They are capable of USB 3.2 Gen 2, but the dock will be able to downgrade you to almost anything you've got. Just remember, on any USB bus, that means the whole USB-C port, it will operate at the speed of the slowest device that's attached to it.
Right. Good hints. Thank you.
Yeah, and when it comes to the USB ports, a thing to consider, if the machine happens to come with USB 2, use your keyboard and mouse on those ports and leave the 3 to your flash drives and your external hard drives. You don't want to mix a slow device like a keyboard and a mouse on a high-speed port and also try and do high speed with the high-speed devices like the flash drives and the external drives.
Yeah. Usually what I would do is I have an adapter that would allow me to, there are these mini docks or adapters that allow you to get 2 slow USB ports, and that goes into the USB-C on one side, and then on the other side you've got if you have any drives, you've got them all there. And a display port should take care of monitors. And you can get adapters.
Hey, sounds good.
So
most of the modern laptops, you can use a Bluetooth mouse or a Bluetooth keyboard also, so you don't have to plug them in.
Yeah, wireless is something you could consider.
Well, I've tried wireless. Sometimes they're flaky, so I've gone with wire.
Well, that's because you were probably using the most common, which uses a Wi-Fi dongle that you plug into a port. It's a Wi-Fi type device, and it can interfere with your regular Wi-Fi for the internet. Bluetooth uses a separate adapter that's already built into all the machines, except for maybe some desktops, and that will not interfere with any of your Wi-Fi equipment.
Yeah, modern Bluetooth 5 makes a much more solid connection than the old Bluetooth 1 and 2 and 3.
Okay.
I will add to conclude this. Stan, your experiences with the hardware and the problems you had in the past are not necessarily indicative of what you're going to see in the new machine and in the future. In other words, the problems with Bluetooth or connectivity and other things, that you won't see those because they've worked out all those kinks already. So everything's going to work beautifully.
Okay.
So, all right. We'll be interested to hear what you wind up buying. Oh, Bob wants to throw one more
last word.
One last word.
Read the reviews in professional sites, because that's where you're going to find out what the lemons are.
And I will add one thing. If you're buying a laptop, try out the keyboard. Put your hands on it. See if you like the way it feels and responds, and you can type on it. Is it big enough? Is there too many keys, too few keys, et cetera, et cetera? It's got to be usable. Sometimes they'll make the front of that laptop where the trackpad is really big. So it has a lot of real estate in it, and you got to get your hands up and over that. You may not want that. So just make sure you feel comfortable with putting your hands on that keyboard.
Yeah, that's what's wrong with my present one. That's why I use an external keyboard.
Right. And you should be able to get past that. In terms of not wanting to use a trackpad, I'm sorry you're like that. I love using a trackpad myself, but I forced myself to get used to using it, and I'm really accurate with it now. I mean, I'll even do my photo work using a trackpad, not a mouse. So much easier using a trackpad, and you don't have carpal tunnel problems. Okay.
If the trackpad is in your way, you can turn it off too.
Yes, you can turn it off. You can disable it. Anyone else want to throw in anything the last minute?
I have a related question.
Okay, Alan.
back in the day, Dell was a pretty good computer, and you can get what you wanted, get it configured the way you wanted, and people are saying now, well, go to Best Buy. Is Dell no longer a great alternative? I believe they have pretty decent tech support for their stuff still. I don't know. I haven't bought one in many, many years. What are people's thoughts on Dell?
Well, that's what I just bought, and I'm happy with it.
Yep. Go ahead.
There was even a used one, refurbished.
For the price, Dell is not a great value. You can usually get by, as long as you don't go with their cheapest ones with HP and the more common brands that are always available. It also depends on what's in the stores, because remember, we've got a chip shortage. There is a shortage of hardware around.
Go to the Dell site and you might see that they have some specials going on.
I have a recent client who's been hacked severely. He does run a small business off of his system, and he's trying to get a new Dell. And he found out that if he went through the business side instead of the personal computing side, he could save more than $100. So if you're looking really at Dell, look at the business side first. You might get a better deal.
Get a better machine, too.
And if you're getting a business class machine, it's okay to get a refurb. Things really run well for a long time.
I've had no problem with refurbs.
Okay. Anyone else want to comment? All right. Next question, new direction.
2 questions.
Yes, Alan.
I'm talking on my Apple now, but I have a PC back here, and it's been driving me crazy. I keep getting this login screen after 5 or 6 minutes of inactivity. I don't know how to access it to get rid of it. And so I'm sure there's a setting that I've just missed. And so my first question, I think that's probably an easy one that someone would probably know about.
Anyone?
There is a setting in Windows where you can, I don't think Windows 10 can disable the lock screen. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But you can make the lock screen so that as soon as you touch anything, you're back in, no login. That's one of the settings.
Really? And where would I get that setting?
Lock screen is the topic. I don't know exactly where it is in Windows.
I'm ready.
Sanford.
Okay. I just Googled this. How to disable lock screen on Windows 10 is it says you right click on the start button, do a search, go letter G, P as in Paul, edit. GP edit and hit enter.
That only works on Pro. That only works on Pro, not Home.
Only works on Pro?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
In Home, you would have.
I have Pro.
Oh, okay. Good.
Also, go to.
While if you could just give me a second to walk about 5 feet away.
Okay.
And then repeat it, and I'll do it. I'll see if it works.
All right. What you do is go down. You press the Windows key and R if you want, or go into the search box.
Just a second, because I got to get past the lock screen.
Let him fetch.
Okay.
Okay, he's getting in.
Start menu, right click the start menu.
Just go down to the start button, and then on the search box type net, NETPLWIZ. And Tom O'Connor,
Yes.
you're the one who's making all the noise. You got a bad connection on your system. You've had this problem before, so I'm muting you.
Okay.
Okay, I'm at use. Oh, here, users must. Unclick. Users must enter a name and password to use this computer.
Net PL-Wiz.
Yeah, just uncheck. Users must enter a username and password, and I'm done.
Okay, and you might have to enter your password in there once to make it apply.
Oh, wait a minute. You can set me with not that password.
The other thing is, if you go to settings, personalization, down the list on the left side is lock screen. It gives you options for the lock screen.
Well, I already did what I think I got what I did the first thing that you suggested, and then I think that's going to work good. I gotta just sit here and ask you my second question and see if it goes into lock screen.
Okay. So
But
your
the
problem
key was the word lock screen. That was the key. I didn't know what the hell they called it.
Okay. Your other thing is your power mode settings. You'll want to go into your advanced power settings, and you're going to need to change the console lock timeout. And you want to turn that off.
Run that by again.
So you go to advanced power settings.
Advanced power settings.
Scroll down till you see display.
Display, yeah.
Click on the plus icon to expand that section. And then change console lock display off timeout. You want to make sure you want it off.
Okay, cool. That's great. Thank you, guys. That's a great advice. Now I have one that's a little tougher. And that is, I'm using Microsoft Word 2010. And for some reason, I used a small envelope, a number 6 envelope, and I changed the settings. And now, no matter what I do, it can't get out of the number 6. I put a 10 envelope, it still prints it as if it's a 6. And there must be some sort of file I delete to reset the damn thing. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I just at a loss. I Googled this one. I couldn't get an answer anywhere.
Anyone can help us?
On searches, I will say how you phrase your search parameters gives you good results or gives you horrible results.
Right.
And so if you're not getting good search results, it's probably the way you're phrasing what you're looking for. And that can be that you are asking too much. You have to cut it back a little.
Right. Well, all I put down was Windows 10 is not we're not returning the correct envelope size. We're not printing the correct envelope size. And that just is the simplest way I can explain that problem. And that's what I was getting, and I wasn't getting a good answer anywhere. So
okay, this is like I ran across this just the other day with my wife trying to print on a small card, and it all has to do with it's like multi-layers of what you got to get through. First thing, are you using Microsoft Word as your first thing that you're trying to generate whatever it is you want to print, or are you doing this in some other program? And you need to, okay. So in Word, you're going to be setting up, and I'm not giving you the exact answers here, but you have to go through your profile or your printer settings when you're going to do the output. And the key here is Word has some settings, and then the printer itself has its own settings. And the two clash often. So you might be setting it up to print on an envelope in Word, but your printer is overriding it because the printer's preferences is not set to the right document size or dimensions. It may be that you set it up for portrait and it's got to be landscape.
Got it.
Okay. I see Bob sent out some stuff here. Bob, you want to chime in?
Yeah, in chat, I sent out first the step-by-step instructions for the group policy edit, which he needs to do. And by the way, for the home edition, there may be a registry setting. And the second thing is for envelopes, how to change the size in Word using their template. However, that will not do anything for your printer if it needs to be reset.
Right. So I click on File, I think, and I put this in Google Drive, I guess. Let me see.
I have a comment.
Sure. I can. Okay, good. I think I'm just trying to figure out how to get this copy down desktop.
So something else could be is that the printer itself, depending upon the age of the printer, may actually have settings that you have to adjust at the printer. Older printers were like that, where they had to modify the physical printer in the settings. But I would say go to settings, the software settings for the printer, and adjust it there and see if you can get Word to send it to it that way. And don't bother with printing on an envelope at the moment. Just deal with straight paper,
right,
until you can get it so it lines up in the correct spot, and then put your envelope in.
Right, yeah, the letters are fine. But I understand what you're saying. I'll do that.
I have a comment.
It's fine. Please copy this.
So it comes down to your orientation, whether it's landscape or portrait, and your margin sizes that you had it set up with.
It's all it is I can show you a copy of it. Hold on a second.
While you're getting that, one other thing.
Go ahead, Bob.
On my all-in-one printer, the printer itself has a setup for various envelopes.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of getting at, is some printers you actually have it on the printer itself. It might be in a menu.
It is in my case.
Yep. Has anybody ever used Avery Labels or Avery Wizard? They actually import directly into Microsoft Office documents, and it comes up with another icon across their labeling system across the top, the ribbons, and those are handy too. I attached an Avery Label user guide. Now, it was quite old. It was 2007. So I don't know if there's a new guide or not, but there's Avery Design Pro users, and then there's also Avery Wizard. There's two different ones.
You may, Bill, you hit on something really big.
Where's your picture?
My wife just discovered this one last week with the Avery. Go to the Avery website. They've got a template system there, she says, is probably the best system she's ever worked with for printing and laying out stuff.
It's very good.
And it doesn't matter if you're going to use their product or not. She said it worked utterly fantastic. She says she wished everybody would learn how to write software this well as they have done on that site.
I've used it.
Yeah. And so you could try using that to print your envelope. It may help you too. And it's not an app. You actually do it right through their website. Everything's done on there.
Or you can embed it into Microsoft Office.
Right.
Cool.
But you need to be connected to the web to do it?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Not if you embed it.
And I want to say, I don't know, I think it's probably avery.com, but I'm not positive on that.
I can find it. That's not a problem.
Okay, next question, new direction?
Sanford?
Yes.
I happen to go to Yahoo Mail. And we use Yahoo Mail for Yahoo groups. But I have never used Yahoo email to send email or anything like that. And I just went out there just to see what was there. And there was a lot of garbage.
Oh,
a lot of spam, a lot of garbage from a long time ago. Some, when you sent the message, probably in Yahoo groups, those were probably there. But I'm talking current, and I've never used that email. I'm just making people aware that, hey, if you're not using Yahoo email, go out there and see if you've got a ton of garbage emails and get rid of them. I may get rid of the Yahoo email account. I don't know yet. But I'm just making that comment.
Personally, I use the Yahoo email myself. That is the one I put on when I don't want somebody to actually email me something that I care to see. So every now and then you'll get to a website and the only way to utilize it is you got to put in an email address.
I know.
And it's a one-off. You don't want any spam from them. You use the Yahoo one because that's where it's going to go and sit and rot.
Yeah.
That's why I have it.
Or if you have free software that requires registration with email.
Yeah. Something that requires registration. It's a one-time thing. You're never going to need it again. You don't care about it.
Another option on that same topic is that with your Windows 10, if you have attached your account to Microsoft, you can make a free Outlook.com email account and use it for junk mail. Because I've had things before where I had to give them an email address. I want the one thing they're talking about, and I don't care about anything else after that. And I give them one of my junk accounts, no problem.
That reinforces just what I was saying, Tim. Mm-hmm. Yahoo is good for your junk accounts. Since you get nothing but spam on there, go and check it maybe once a month, thumb through what you got in there. Pretty much 98% is all going to be spam.
Okay. Just like to say, can I say something about the email, Yahoo?
Yes.
I use it, but I also use disposable email addresses. So I got about 100 disposable. So you make it up, and if you don't want no more junk mail, you just disable your disposable email address. And that's very handy.
I think I'm going to talk a little bit about that later on.
Good.
The other thing, I would like a presentation that someone would come forward using IMAP. Okay, how to set it up where you use the normal, where you have two PCs, and you use IMAP and it will update Outlook.com on those PCs, or use Outlook.com. And to give a little presentation on both of the pros and cons of doing it either way.
Unfortunately for IMAP, the ones that I've used for clients are a Linux client and also Thunderbird. I know how to set it up on those and what it does and how it behaves and how it misbehaves.
He's asking for a presentation. Anyone want to step up to the plate here and do one on IMAP?
I've never
used it.
Never used it.
10 years.
I know the thing is, if you have a couple PCs, like I take my laptop to dialysis, I would like to get, my email where if I use IMAP, I would get the latest update and I don't have to carry it back and update my desktop yet. That's the main reason I want to do it.
Yeah, there are some caveats about that.
And what's also, you don't have the PST when you use the IMAP. It puts it somewhere else, and I don't know where it puts it.
Oh, so you want Outlook specifically?
Oh, probably. I'll go to Gmail or some other one possibly. To give a presentation on the pros and cons of Outlook or Gmail or whatever.
Yeah, like I say, the only one I use that would be relevant to Windows would be Thunderbird as a desktop IMAP client.
Yeah.
But you might want somebody to be able to talk about and show how it looks in Outlook.
Yeah.
Because a lot more people use it.
And how it's set up and everything.
Yeah, because setup will be different.
Oh, yeah. I know that. And where is the file so you can back up, your emails and that.
Yeah, again, email backup is a lot simpler in Thunderbird than it is in Outlook.
Well, Outlook on the desktop is very simple.
Yeah, but if you're talking IMAP, it becomes a little bit less.
I know. That's why I'm doing.
Yeah.
So if there's someone that can do it, uses IMAP. And I know if you have Apple products, I think all of them use IMAP in a way, if I'm not mistaken.
Again, that's not going to be Outlook, but it's going to be Apple.
I know.
Maybe we need a panel. Maybe we need a panel. Different people who use different IMAPs.
Yeah. But it's a suggestion for a topic. That's all I'm trying to do. Okay.
Anybody else? Any last questions? All right. Anybody buy anything new?
We're broke.
We're all broke. I understand. Everybody's saving their money because Prime Day is coming up.
Yes,
So
it
we're
is.
all waiting for Prime Day before we go shopping. Anyone going to participate in Prime Day?
Don't know for sure.
Don't know. Who's going to watch Prime Day?
I'll watch it.
Probably will a little.
You never know what's going to come up. I got a really great deal on a drone last year. So I'm curious to see what will come through this year. Like I saved $150 off the Mavic Mini that I bought.
All we can do is wait, look, and then maybe buy.
Yep. Earlier we were talking about doing, it was before the meeting even started, we were talking about making sure you do backups and that you can do the restores. I did have a problem that showed up the second time this year. In less than a year, I've had another SSD crap out on me. It was on my wife's laptop, and it just suddenly just stopped. That's it. No warning whatsoever. No smart information. It literally just died. So luckily, I had a backup of hers that was done 10 o'clock that morning. So she only lost a few hours worth of work, and it wasn't really much that she lost. But it did take me a while to find a drive that's sitting in my archives that was big enough, a 500 gig hard drive that was not doing anything, and be able to restore it. That took a while. It's not the process. It's just getting things set up to do it. It's not like something you have laying around every day. So doing backups and getting backups done frequently is really important. And I'm just amazed that this is the second SSD that I've had in less than 6 months that crapped out on me.
Okay, two things I've got on that. Number one, SSDs have a lot of features defaulted on because they are from the hard disk drive that was originally in the machine. They cause a lot of read-write and other accesses to the SSD that are absolutely unnecessary, and it causes the drives to die quicker than normal. The second is regarding what you brought up about smart. SSDs have some smart capability. It's very primitive. I remember reading articles up to a year ago that they know about the issue, and supposedly they're going to try and do something to improve smarts for SSDs, but I haven't seen anything specific yet.
Yep.
How do you find what you can turn off on an SSD if you originally had a hard drive in the computer?
Well, generally speaking, most of the drives that we acquire have utilities from the manufacturer that allow you to see various settings that you can disable through that utility. And most of the time, once you've made the change, you may never touch that utility again. But I know Samsung was very renowned for it, but the latest couple years of Magician haven't been as good as the earlier versions. And they'll also check to see if you got a firmware update and put it on for you if you want. There's a lot of other little things, including on some of them, a turbo function for Samsung drives. Most of the other manufacturers of SSDs don't have as robust a utility for their drives. And you really got to watch it.
Tim, my current Samsung Magician for my SSD in my computer allows for acceleration and it allows for over provisioning. That's
Yes.
what's going to save your drive. Over provisioning. If you have 50% or maybe 20 or 30% of that drive as empty space next door to your Windows partition, use it as over provisioning. That will level the wear a lot better, and it allows you some leeway. So
And
you might not get the sudden failure.
You don't have to have Samsung to do the over provisioning. What you have to have is a partitioning program, and just cut out a section of the drive's capacity, and do not put a partition there. Do not format it to anything. That creates an over provisioning section for the drive. What that means is, in relation to a spinning hard drive, is when it finds bad spots on your drive with check disk, it says, I'll try and recover everything I can from the bad area, and I'll put it in a special area that exists on a hard drive but does not exist on any SSD. That's why you have to have the over provisioning to make that space so that it can start using cells in that unprovisioned area in the same manner for taking bad spot data and putting it in that location.
And you have to inform the drive's firmware that that space exists.
Yes.
So that it can start using it. That's what Samsung Magician does automatically.
Yes, and in the other drives, it takes different methods of trying to get it to recognize it is there for over provisioning.
Yeah, and if you get a no-name SSD or a really low-end one, good luck.
The lower it is, the worse performance it's going to have. You have to look at the read speeds and the write speeds. I've seen some SSDs, granted they're very old ones and that, but they had like 450 megabits per second read, but they only had something like about 115 megabyte write speed, which is horrible because that's below the threshold of SATA 1 read speeds. So
Tim, that is an old drive. Most of the drives today, if you go with something relatively current or a 3D NAND drive or something like that, you're going to be in the 500s up and down, and it's not a big deal. It's when you buy the real cheap, crappy drives.
That's right.
So basically, stay away from a cheap, crappy drive is really the key here.
That's true.
Now, the drive I had that crapped out had been used for 7 years. It gave me, plenty of work. It worked great. I'm just reflecting at the fact that it just decided it was going to stop working unannounced.
Yes.
Which is the reason you need to have a good backup system put in place. And I say this, and I'm going to get hit with something tomorrow. One of my drives on my server or something is going to crap out on me because I'm talking about it. But it's just, the way it kind of all works. I'm just saying, a good backup procedure.
That's right.
Will be your buddy.
I've seen regular spinning hard drives die suddenly as well with no real warning.
Right. So it was just no warning. I don't believe the problem that it was that it ran out of space or that we had too many bad sectors. I think the controller just crapped out.
Yes, that's usually the case.
Sanford, if you have ever been to Northwest Suburban, Ed Keating has repeatedly said there are two magic numbers with SSDs, 5 years, and there's a magic number of maximum number of writes before it'll crap out.
Right.
And Samsung Magician can tell you how close you are to that number.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing that with so-so on the smarts telling you, hey, look out, you may be in trouble. This gives you some utilities. but most of the drives out there from other manufacturers don't even come close to what Samsung has created.
Or Intel.
Intel's a distant second to Samsung on the utility, on what it can do. And like I said, and Bob brought it up there, and about the number of finite writes that can be done to each individual cell. And if you have a bunch of features that are on for a spinning hard drive that are not needed on a solid state drive, you're doing extra work, and it shortens the life of the device.
Okay, anyone else want to throw in any last questions or comments? Anyone buy anything which I brought up and nobody bought anything? Alan, did you buy your drone yet?
It's on my list.
It's on your list.
Yeah.
Well, you might as well just move up to the next one. Go get yourself a Mavic 2 Air, and you'll be happy with that. It's got a bigger drone, really nice.
The Mavic, did you get that one?
No, my cousin got that one, and I got to fly it when I was out in New Jersey. It's really a nice drone.
Mavic 2 Air.
Well, but everything's changing, so.
Yeah, are the law? What's going on with the laws with that stuff? Is that changing too?
No, they're not changing. They're there. In other words, the laws have been put in place. Now they became real.
And
I think it was earlier this year is when they became effective. And now from this point forward, the FAA has set the rules in place if you're going to be recreational or if you're going to be a Part 107 commercial pilot. It's which way you want to go with that.
But the Mavic 2 Air is more than 249 grams. And the only difference is you pay $5 a year. Or
the 249 is just a nice thing. It just basically means that it's really light and small, and you don't have to register it, but you should register it. Okay, that's the only thing. You don't have to, but you should. Anything over 249, you have to register. It's $5 to register. It's not a big deal, with the FAA. And as time goes on, you're going to need to have you'll want to be registered. You want to be above the table, have everything out in the open.
And the Mavic 2 Air isn't that much bigger?
Well, you could do your own look and read in on it. It is bigger, but it's not significantly. It's not as big as a Mavic Pro or something. Okay, those are much larger.
Okay.
But you haven't gotten anything yet. I don't know what you're waiting for.
Well,
by the time you figure this out, summer's going to be over, and then you're going to be going, I can't fly because it's winter.
No, I'm going to do it probably within the next 3 weeks.
Okay. Remember, Prime Day is coming.
I know. Oh, it is?
Yeah.
You don't get a great deal on Prime Day anyway.
Yes, you do. I got mine, my Mavic Mini, for $150 off. So, if I bought a $500 drone for $300, it was $200. Yeah, $200 off. That was a good deal.
When is it?
June 21st.
June 21st?
Yeah.
And second.
Yeah, and 22nd. But if you wanted to get a refurbished Mavic Mini 1, version number 1, in a Fly More combo, Newegg is running a deal today, $359.
No, I'll get.
That's $150 less than they're normally selling now.
I'm not looking to save a couple bucks.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm just saying you could get last year's model, if you will.
Okay, Sanford.
Okay, we'll call it quits for the night, or for me, and I'll pass it back over to Jerry.
Okay, I'm going to go up to shared screen. Okay, tonight's meeting are a bunch of little tips and tricks that I've found. Okay, the first one. How many of you remember the taskbar back in Windows 95 when you put your icon over the taskbar icon, and it said exactly what you got up. Well, we can get that back. And the easy way to do that is, my taskbar is pretty full, and to try and bring up the taskbar is a little hard. So there's a little icon here that says taskbar view. And it's not doing what I want to do. I don't know if I can do it or not. Let's see. Nope, it's not. Oh, there we go. Right click. Okay, taskbar settings. Go to personalized.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, go to personalized, and down here it says combine taskbar buttons. Always hide taskbar. If you change that to never, and then get out, let's see if that works now. When I go down here, like if I'm on my PowerPoint. I don't but I know it works.
I saw it.
Yeah, it was there.
Barely there, but it was very faint.
Yeah, but it works. And that way you know the name of the program you're working on. If you have several of them open, you know exactly which one you want to go to. And that's just bringing back a old Windows 95 option. Very simple to change if you want to. And I like this little option down here in the lower left-hand corner, the second icon in. That's how you get into your taskbar if the taskbar is full. Okay, next one. This one is new, how to personalize your Windows taskbar with news and interest. This comes out with 21, H1 or whatever?
Yeah, 2104.
2104. And what it is an icon in the lower right-hand corner. Mine does not have it because I don't have 2104 on there. But what it looks like, let me bring up the video.
Jerry, I thought I had read that there will be an update very soon that will actually bring this feature to everybody.
That's true. Right now, it's like Edge Chrome. It was originally for the current release, and they've backported it all the way to 7.
Don't I have it? I thought I had it. Let's go here. Just to give you what it looks like. Come on, where is it? I know there's a picture of it somewhere.
Well, on mine, it's to the left of the sys tray. And I'm on the equivalent of 21H2.
Yeah.
And right now, mine's got a quarter moon image, 78 degrees.
Oh, this is it right here. This is what you get here.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, and I got it on the right-hand side. That's where they said it is. Now, they may have moved it. I don't know.
Well, in H2, apparently they are moving it to the other side of the sys tray.
But that's okay.
And all you got to do is hover your mouse over the icon.
Yeah.
It pops up with all the friggin' information.
Yeah.
And you have to customize it to what you're interested in.
Right. And I've got the information here on what to do. I'm not downloaded. I just thought it might be interesting to tell you about something new that's coming down the road. And I'm talking a little bit more here on how to set it up and what to do. This is going back a long ways. Did I? Okay. I got to remember how to do these. I don't. Start menu, click the gear icon, go to press the Windows or your keyboard, select Personalize, then sidebar, select colors. And what they're doing there is, again,
Oh, by the way, news and interest is an optional update.
Okay. Personalize, now where do they have colors? I know a whole color screen comes up. Oh,
I think,
here.
yeah, go to colors.
Yeah. And then you can change your background to whatever you want on the taskbar.
Dan, that might help you with your eyesight too.
But these are a couple little tips and tricks, whether you use them or not. I thought they were interesting. A lot of us are going to a dark screen and see what you want to do. Customize the taskbar, pin apps to the taskbar. That's, again, however you want to do it. You can take, when you open up the start menu and click like a Acronis True Image, right click on it. Come on. Okay, let's bring it down. It should come up, then you say pin to start, or they have it more where you can say pin to taskbar. There's several ways you can do it. It's just a reminder of what you want on your taskbar. And I'm just going over a few simple things with instructions how to do it. And you can do the same thing with pin a file or folder. And I think, Bill Powell, I think you did something like this, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, I did, and it really works great.
Yeah. And they're going through how it is. I just put it here again, just how to do it. That way you can have many files underneath one folder and name the folder for whatever you want.
Yep.
And the very simple one, all of us should know how. You got to have the taskbar unlocked, and then once you get the up arrow on the taskbar at the bottom, raise it up. I don't know if I can do it in Zoom. I don't want to leave the meeting. It may not do that while I'm in shared mode. But you get the up and down arrow, then you can raise it up. Well, there it goes. Okay. And now you notice that I have a little more room. And now you can see, since I turned on what programs I have up running, you got the name of it here now. You can see that a little bit better. So that's a way of seeing a little bit more what you have in your taskbar. And of course, we all know by grabbing the taskbar, we can move it to the left, right, or to the top. And these are just more review, going back many, many things. Okay, this one I thought was very interesting. 5 things your free email provider tracks about you, and I certainly believe it. Any contact, your free email provider scans your email and records phrases and particles, particular words. This way they will make more money off you because they have more data about you. And I I believe that. Your location and your sender. Your free email providers know where and when you have opened any email as well as any email you have sent. They also track when sent you an email, when they did it, and when they are located, where they are located. Again, more data points to sell about you. Okay, every single person you find, your free email provider tracks every single person who you correspond with, including all your business contacts, friends, family, doctors, and more. And your free email providers know when you more likely to open spam, whether that's at 6 a.m., 9 p.m. So that's why the time of the day you get a certain email might change over time. And all websites have it. Your free email provides tracks and keeps records of websites that you frequently visit, that you are shopping from. I notice that when I go into MSN, websites that I go to, and when you flip through the main topics, some of those come up. And it's amazing how they keep that. So you got to keep this in mind. But let's see what we can do about that. Stop complaining out your big tech and do something about it. Don't let big tech take advantage. There's a program out there called Smart Mail. I have not used it. Here's something that, hey, I'm asking for volunteers. Someone could use it. It's free, and it doesn't allow your email provider to track where you're going or anything like that. So your privacy comes first. SmartWell will build from the ground up with your privacy and security in mind. Your emails are your business, period. And get this, when you delete an email, it's gone forever. It's easy to use. And if someone would come forward, I would like them to give a little presentation, like I said, on SmartMail. And I got some more things on what SmartMail will stop. It is not free. It's 50% off. Sorry. I don't know what it costs, but I don't think it's that much. But if you try it for 7 days and give a little review on it, that might be good enough for all of us, in CCS to think about possibly getting it. And I've got all the links in my handout, which you will get later on. And there's a link I didn't go through it, how to set up SmartMail. So it's there. Okay. I got 5 ways to restore your deleted files in Windows 10. Okay. Let's go to the URL. Can you recover my permanently deleted files? Well, one thing you got to keep in mind, once you delete it, you got to get at it right away. Otherwise, you're going to overlay it and it's gone. Restore deleted files with undo delete. I have not tried it. Has anybody tried undo delete? But this is one program to use. Look for deleted files in the recycle bin. If you just hit delete, they will go to the recycle bin, and then you can send them back.
Yeah, Control Delete deletes them permanently.
Yes. But that's where you would need the first program to recover it.
Yep.
Restore deleted files with file history. I have not used this one, but if I do it, I put 3 gazillion programs on my PC, and I don't want to do it. And I'm just giving things to try and try. I know there's a file history that you can use to restore files.
Yeah, has anybody ever used file history? I have never set it up.
No, I have not. Okay, use deleted files using your backup and restore feature. I know I use Acronis, and there are times that I went out to the Acronis backup and just selected one file to restore. On my Western Digital, I do a backup of certain files that if I make a change, it goes out to my Western Digital hard drive the minute I make a change. And I can go out there and find a file if I want to restore it and bring it back. And you can use restore delete files with the command prompt. And they walk you through exactly how to use the command prompt. Now, they did not cover one file that, or one program that has been used for many, many years, and that's Recover. And I'm thinking a bunch of you have probably used the program Recover. Am I true on that?
I think you're thinking of Recuvia?
Recover, yeah. And I know that's been around for years.
How do you spell that? How do you spell that?
Oh, God.
I don't know. I'm surprised they didn't.
Recuvia.
Thank you.
But that's one that's been used for years and has been out there and it's fairly popular. And I'm surprised that it was not in this particular file.
I've used Recuva to find files that are lost on USB drives. It works really well for that purpose.
Yeah. I don't know what they have on here. They're covering some of the similar things. Oh. These are basically the same thing that we had before. File recovery tool, that was mentioned. Like I said, I use Acronis. I can recover one file from the backup that I make. But I'm giving you a whole bunch of choices. If you run into a problem and all of a sudden you deleted a file and you said, oops, here you got a bunch of choices that you can try and use. But I'm not going to put them all on my PC. I got too much on already. Okay. PC maintenance mistakes that we make. Well, I don't think we use a jackhammer or anything like that on a PC.
That's funny.
I know. Delete your recover partition. That's one thing they say, do not delete it. You'll probably see that it is hidden. And if you do a disk management, you'll see it's hidden. It doesn't have a drive letter or anything like that. So that's one thing. If you got to restore from scratch, you got the recovery partition. I've never used it, but it's a way to recover. Be careful how you update your registry. You can damage it. So there are certain programs, you always want to make a backup of your registry beforehand. So just in case, if you go out there and make a change, you can restore it if something happened. A lot of these are common sets. Erasing system or other important files. Well, you go out there and you look at all these files that are out there and you say, let's get rid of them. No, you don't want to do that. So you want to be careful on what you delete in the operating system. driver cleanup. There are many driver cleanups that are out there. CCleaner's one. I like it.
CCleaner's not a driver cleanup. It's a
Oh,
drive.
That's right. That's the system. But
Driver cleanup is a whole different class.
Yeah, that's right.
And they are all snake oil.
They're snake oil? They cause problems?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So
you got to want to do that.
You want to be careful.
You won't recover any space. You won't improve performance.
Yeah.
Drivers are extremely small.
Yeah.
And, you'd have to wipe out a hell of a lot to get much space back.
Yeah. They're talking here driver wiping of driver zealous clearing comes in the form of wiping your drive. When you reset Windows 10, you can choose to keep your personal files intact or wipe everything to start fresh. So they give you different options in some of these files that you can use. This one is kind of neat, where what they're saying there is all the open space, you can wipe that clean while leaving everything, that is present alone. And always be careful with Windows cleaning. A lot of these are common sense. And that's why I brought them along. And I think we all recognize that. Okay. 6 ways to copy files faster in Windows. I didn't know about a lot of these options that there are for faster keyboard shortcuts for faster file copy. I know going back to Windows 95 or so, you had Copy X and things like that to use, and you still have the Control X, Control C, and Control V to do all that manually, to copy from one folder to another. No mouse shortcuts for faster copying. They go over that a little bit. And a lot of that is, again, you got the copy, paste, and cut on the mouse. I'm looking for some programs that they have. I don't see them right now. There we go.
I use TerraCopy. Yeah, that's one I use. TerraCopy.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. You like it?
Yes, I
Okay.
do.
I have never used it, but it kind of probably makes it real easy for you, right, Bill?
Yeah, it seems to copy faster when you're copying a lot of files. Sanford's got a question.
Well, before Windows 10, I used to use TerraCopy exclusively on all my computers. And then I was under the assumption I had heard that TerraCopy engine was incorporated into Windows. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but that's what I was told, that they're utilizing some form of replication of TerraCopy when it's in Windows 10. If anyone wants to expunge on that, I'd appreciate that, but I don't know.
I don't either. I like TerraCopy, though.
Okay. Then we got RoboCopy. I don't know if anybody has used that.
You haven't used it, but I know.
Okay. And we've got they're saying upgrade your drives to speed up copy. That's your hard drives, go to SSDs or whatever. So I've given you a bunch of options to do copy files a lot faster rather than just copy and paste. The TerraCopy sounds intriguing. I may try it the next time. Okay, let's see what we got here on Windows. Skip and stretch. I use that program all the time to copy an image, and you can take and select whatever you want on the screen. And I just love it. It creates, you take and highlight the picture from top to bottom, what's on the screen. You take and click the little two-label format, which is copy, and then you can paste it in a Word document. Real simple. I know Snagit and some of the other programs do basically the same thing, but this is right within Windows, and it does the job.
I like GreenShot.
I know you mentioned that one some time ago. I don't know if this one, I've got that in here or not. Now, there is a clipboard history.
One of the things I like about it is, when you get a drop-down menu, if you try to take a screen capture, the drop-down menu will disappear.
Yeah.
It doesn't on GreenShot.
Okay.
The way I do it is I just use the Windows clipping with a delay. And then bring up what I need.
Too. The GreenShot has a photo editor built in with it too that you can get some.
Yeah. I'm looking to see if they mentioned screenshot. No, they don't. They didn't do it. I thought they would, but they didn't. But there's a lot of programs out there that will do that. I just am stuck with that snip and cut. It has done me real good.
Is that the one that comes with Windows 10?
Yes.
Yeah. When I bought my new printer, I could not get that to work where it would print the rightmost characters. That's why I came up with GreenShot. Because I had the coupons, where you had the 10 character code for using your discount.
Well, you could adjust the size.
I tried everything, Jerry. I tried resizing.
What about adjusting the size of the screen before you do it?
I did all that stuff. Nothing worked. It would always cut it off.
Oh, okay.
The last 4 digits were always gone.
Okay.
So I went to GreenShot and it works fine.
Okay.
That could be a printer driver issue.
Well, okay. I even took the printers back.
Okay.
They're all HPs, but I took one back, got another one through Best Buy, and that one didn't work. And then I discovered that it was the Snip and Sketch or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Got GreenShot that worked, so I took that one back and got the one I had originally. Best Buy. Best Buy.
Go ahead. I only use that Snip and Sketch one for copying to a file. So I create a file, and if I want to print it, I print from PDF.
Yeah. Now I do my coupons with that. But then also a couple of times a year, I do a financial summary in Word.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is using GreenShot for pictures and posting it into the Word documents.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I just wrote that down too, so I can remember that one. Okay, Diagnostic Tools for Windows. A lot of these are built into Windows. The Performance Monitor, Windows Memory Diagnosis, and they tell you a little bit here exactly what they cover. I don't know if I want to go into them in great detail. I don't know if they work in shared mode, but I'm giving you the option to try them yourself and see the different monitoring tools, the memory diagnostics, third hardware diagnostics apps, MemTest 86 to test your memory. I don't know if these are free or if you got to pay for them. Crystal disk information will tell you, how your disk is. I have never heard of half of these programs.
The hardware info that's up there now, I've used that before, along with several other tools.
Yeah. But like I said, I don't want to put all these on. I got enough crap on my PC already. If I want to try them, that's what I will do. Each one does it a little differently.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you've got it where you can check your battery health. And they've got some other battery tests that are available. Okay. This was one I said we were going to cover a little bit. There's a couple programs that what we'll do is they'll leave your OS intact, but wipe your open space clean. Where if you want to get rid of your laptop and you had pertinent information out there, you deleted it all. This way you can wipe all that clean and still have the OS. You always want to secure your and wipe your drives before you're selling. Some people take a hammer at it just to destroy it, and that way, no problem. Or drill a hole through it. I don't remember if you can do it on an SSD. If you have a short guide on how to erase an SSD, it's probably a little different. Okay.
You could drive a nail through an SSD and nail ruin it.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Jerry, on most SSDs, there is a way to wipe all the data. There's a super trim command.
Yeah. Well, I would think it's probably in that instruction here. I did not go to as far as to get that information.
Yeah, but you have to use the right super trim for your particular brand. Otherwise, you might end up by wiping out the firmware.
Okay.
But basically what it does is it sends an electrical current across the entire SSD, zeroes out everything.
Okay, I'm looking at this one here, use Windows 10 reset to reset this PC. Apparently this one takes and restores the whole PC. And how to reset probably the recovery drive. Yep, that's what it is, the recovery drive. Or you can completely wipe the drive and then reinstall Windows. I'm looking for the one that just wipes the blank space. Okay, CC Cleaner does that. So if you got blank space in there, that's exactly what it will do. So if you deleted some files, the remnants of there will disappear. And that's one thing to do. Keep in mind, whenever you dispose of a hard drive, make sure you don't have any personal data on it. Like I said, a lot of what we're covering here is just a quick review. Okay, here we go, maybe. Okay, this is creating and probably reinstalling Windows 10. Because you're creating.
That's a tool disk. Very old style, used to be very, very useful. Now in Windows 10, I'm not sure its usefulness.
Yeah.
Irons is no longer recommended for recovering Windows 10, though you might find something on it that'll work.
Okay. Then here, recover drive. I've never heard of this one either. I'm throwing things out here that how to create an ultimate boot CD. Tim has had many articles on how to create a boot CD in tips and tricks. Whether it's a USB drive, creating it from an ISO file or whatever, there are a lot of different options out on the tips and tricks. I think I've heard of this one, but I have never used it.
That's old. It's German made. I mean, it's modern right now, but it's a Linux disk that can be used for recovering a lot of different operating system snafus.
Here we got some other ones, how to create rescue disks.
Trinity Rescue Disk. That rings a bell. Can't place it.
Drive, Droid. System Rescue Disk CD. And apparently you probably have to make a CD and then use that to restore. And of course, which probably none of us do, always keep a Windows Rescue Disk at hand.
Yeah, I brought that up before, Nat, and people scratch their head wondering why I would want to make one.
Yeah.
You run into the right problem, you'll wish you had it.
Yeah. That might be one to talk about is how to create it. And I think you've got probably here how to create it. And I think there's some articles in the tips and tricks on how to do it too. But everything that I'm going through here is basically a review and try to bring back everything. I thought I had this one already. We did. I got it twice. And that's it. But I thought, with the time that I had and trying to put some things together, I thought I'd just show some highlights to bring back memories of what we used and give you an idea of maybe what to use if you run into a problem for different areas. And that's what I tried to do. And let's see. Let me go to chat. And let me get a file. My computer. Give me a little bit. Where'd it go? Oh, okay. Okay, the PDF is now in the chat area.
Hey, Bob, I noticed that you put something on the chat about Terracopy, saying it's not as good as Windows Basic now.
That's what it says online.
Okay.
That in terms of sheer performance, it no longer outperforms Windows.
All right.
But Windows does not use Terracopy. It uses some other algorithm.
All right. Thanks.
I have found when I do or have used Terracopy every once in a double blue moon, if you will. I can't get something to copy or a group of files to copy properly. And the only way that I can do it is I got to turn off Terracopy. There's some random thing that pops up that affects how it copies very large files, and it could error out and it doesn't close out completely or get the CRCs or the checksums across properly. And I can't put my fingers on it. As I said, it's like a double blue moon, but I have found in a rare occasions that I've had to totally disable Terracopy and just use standard Windows copy to copy or move a file from one system to another or whatever the procedure is.
Okay.
But it's usually when it's a very big file that it happens like that.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Like I said earlier in the session, some people probably have joined a little bit later, and that is, I need a little help. I need some people to do some presentations. I've given a couple suggestions here on what to do, but it doesn't have to be on those. It can be something that you enjoy doing, whether it's a review or whatever. And just to let you all know, if we go to in-personal meetings, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. I'm on a walker. I can't carry anything. It makes it very hard. But when I was at dialysis, my walker's a red walker. And the guy there said, we got to rename that walker. You know how everyone is looking at the Teslas and everything like that? Well, I beat them out. I got a red Ferrari. So I'm having a lot of fun with that. You know, different places that I go, people get a bang on the back.
You got a bicycle horn on it?
No. It doesn't even have a seat. But I just have fun with it, you know. Go to the doctor's office, or I had a doctor's appointment today. The PA was there, and I mentioned it to her, and she got a giggle out of it and said, you got to have a lot of humor. And that is so true. And I've gone through a heck of a lot this last month. And I'm not done. But
hey, hang in there, Jerry.
But doing the Zoom meetings is no problem. But gathering the information, I don't know what all of you like or anything like that. You know, I'm trying to push out a couple of suggestions. Send me an email. I'll walk through with you, you know, to help you set it up or whatever has to be done. You know, so, you know, I don't know what we're going to do. The July meeting is, I think, the first Thursday, which is the first, if I'm not mistaken. And I think we will hold that meeting. You know, because the 4th, I think, is Sunday. I thought I looked, I might be wrong, maybe July meeting's the 2nd, but we're okay. So that's what I see going on. Anybody else have any other questions?
By the way, July 1st is a Thursday.
It is a Thursday?
Yeah.
I thought I looked at it that it was a Thursday. So I'm planning on doing a meeting that particular day. And I might, I don't know, at the board meeting, I want to talk a little bit more on getting someone else to help me, you know, with Zoom, you know, how to start the meetings. I got Sanford starting up his own meeting, and got a lot of tips and tricks put together. I just want to gather them and put them all in one spot to try and make it easy for you. But I know I want to have some backup. So if anyone wants to help, you know, host or start a Zoom meeting, you know, for West Side, I'm all for it. Okay. I'm going to call it quits. Does anybody have any other questions? I got to see if I can sleep tonight. You know, when you only get about 2 hours of sleep at night, and then I go to dialysis in the morning, and I may catch a cat nap, not anything long. Then come home, I may take a little cat nap in the chair, but my wife kids me on that. You don't want to do that.
I would suggest CBD, but you better check with your doctor.
Oh, I know. I've been mentioning that, and I've got a video conference next.
I have a friend that takes it because he has some pain.
You know,
as he sleeps really well.
I don't know if melanoma works. I tried that a long time ago. It didn't work for me, but when I talk to him, I will mention that. You know, you can
melatonin, Jerry. It's melatonin. Okay. Melanoma is skin cancer.
Melatonin.
And you may want to just skip the CBD and just go get yourself a joint and smoke it, okay? And try that.
Oh yeah.
You got 6 dispensaries right there in Naperville.
I know.
Plenty to choose from.
I know.
Gummy bears are good too.
That's not my alley.
I've never tried it, but I've been tempted.
Yeah. I don't want to try it and get hooked.
Well, that's the thing. You don't get hooked on CBD.
Yeah.
CBD doesn't.
It doesn't give you any high.
Yeah.
It just relaxes you. And supposedly makes you very hungry.
Yeah. Okay. That's where I stand. I wanted to make everyone aware of what's going on with me. You know, and like I said, I'm not through yet. I'm waiting for the biopsy results for the liver to see what kind of treatment I have. You know, my oncologist said no surgery, probably no chemo. It's going to be drugs. So that should be a fairly easy solution.
Mm-hmm.
I hope. Yep. That's all I can say. I've had chemo before on my multiple myeloma, and that was a piece of cake. But you don't know what down the road. But hope to see you Monday, Sanford. And
you're muted, Sanford.
Monday it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
what is that? Watch for my emails. They'll be coming on. I'm just working on it right now, actually, to get that off to Beata. So what is it? 5:30 on Monday.
Yeah.
Tips and tricks.
Yeah. Well, we had a lot of tips and tricks tonight. And
yes, we did.
Tried to solve a bunch of things, and I tried to cover a lot of old stuff just as a review. You know, that we didn't think of, and some new stuff that we didn't think of. And if someone wants to try some of them and then give a little 5-10 minute review, I would appreciate.
Hey, quick question before we go.
Yeah.
You were talking about using CCleaner to wipe free space.
Yeah.
Should you do that on an SSD drive?
I don't know.
You really can't. Through conventional methods, you cannot wipe free space on an SSD because the free space isn't in one place.
Yeah.
Due to wear leveling, it'll write to one place, then it'll write to another place, and you don't get adjacent
pieces they had
written to.
There was something that talked about that in the one article, how to clean up an SSD, I thought. I did not open it up, but it's in the document.
I did see the link.
I'll tell you that wiping a hard drive, depending on the size of the drive, like Stan's 5 gigabyte drives, you will spend the remainder of your life just going through one wipe. And the wipe is multiple read-writes of the disk as is. I've had small drives in the past that I did it on, and you'd start it up in the late evening, and it's still going well into the next day.
Yeah. By the way, that can't possibly be 5 gigabytes. It's either 5 terabytes or 500 gig.
Yeah.
5 terabyte.
Yeah.
Sanford, can you send out a link for Monday night?
It's coming shortly, Terry.
Yeah, I haven't gotten any links to your meetings or whatever.
Well, they go through Beata, and Beata sends them out.
That's right. So if
I got Jerry's, but some years
If you get mine, you should.
Jerry's, you get all of them.
I do.
Yeah.
Barry, did you get
either you're not seeing them or you're deleting them?
Oh yeah, maybe they
Or
go
it's
spam.
spam.
That might be. Yeah, it could be.
They start out with CCS.
Yeah,
Check spam.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're right. It could be spam.
There should be 2 emails coming to you to come. One will be hopefully tomorrow. You'll get the one with the meeting topics, and the one on Sunday will have the link to the meeting.
Beautiful. Thank you.
All right. Be on the lookout for it.
Spam. Yeah.
It's the one on Sunday that once in a blue moon doesn't get anywhere.
Yeah, and unluckily that's out of my control.
Yeah.
I can't send them to the CCS group, so.
No, but individuals can email you and
Right.
get about 20 or 30 emails saying, send me the link.